I wanted to just say thank you, Amanda, for being here. We're all very happy to have you and very excited to hear what you have for us. So, a bit about Amanda. She is an award-winning designer and creative director that has been working in the industry for more than 20 years, if I'm not mistaken, but she is also a member of RGD board and one of the chairs of the certification committee. So welcome, Amanda. Thank you for being here. I'll let you start with the presentation.
Okay, can you guys see? I'm gonna move this, but can you guys see my desktop okay?
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, so as I said, I've been in RGD for quite some time, but I've been a designer and a graphic designer and a creative director and an art director for over 20 years. So I've been around and I've seen things and I've done things. It sounds dirty. So I'm just gonna go into it. The reason why I started off with Forked River on here is it's kind of sometimes you make those relationships in your life that kind of come around and are really important, that go above and beyond anything for graphic design. I'll get that. So again, as I said, I'm Amanda. I'm a creative director. I'm a mother. I'm a massive nerd, and I like to live myself like, if you know Meg Lewis, she takes it to the next level, but I'm always trying to be in a positive manner and a positive force and trying to share that infection with the people around me. It's really important. So here I am. I'm going to talk about my weird creative journey from start to wherever the hell I've ended up now, and how I've kind of got there, and how you embrace the process, is basically kind of say. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. So I graduated from Seneca in the year 2000, and I got hired as a student at an agency. I was also super excited in the year 2000. And stayed there for about 2 years, and then got hired by another one, and it was, yeah, okay, great. And then hired by my third agency until about 2009. So basically it was rinse and repeat, doing the exact same thing, but fantastic experience, doing a lot of branding, making a lot of those connections. In 2010, I got hired on by, actually, this was my first real dive into the RGD, was really getting into the RGD. I got hired by a company called Honey Design. Robin Honey was a past president of the RGD. She was really involved in it. Really got my feet wet, and this was my dream agency. This was my dream job. This is where I had to have it. Then they got bought out by Arcane, which is this massive, cool agency downtown London. They have a location in Toronto, and they have a location in Calgary, and dogs on site, beer on tap, like all those things that as a designer you think, oh, this is like, I've made it, this is the life, this is the crazy coolness. And I was associate creative director there until about 2016. I was fired out of 3 or 4 of these jobs, which is great. It sounds really bad. It sounds like, getting fired from a position seems like one of those things that people are, it comes with a negative connotation, when it doesn't. I find that it's just life course correcting you and getting your passions into the direction that you need to go. So, so here I am. I'm at I swear a lot in this presentation. I'm just warning anybody if you're curious about that. So here I am at my job at Arcane, and I'm thinking that I'm the shit. I'm fucking awesome. Like, that I've made it. I'm where I need to be. So I'm just going to go through a little bit of the work that we've done. Again, this is dated, and kind of having what you're having, that chat before about like, oh my God, I did that, and I have to put that in front of people. This was done, as I said, like, it's been done like almost 10 years ago now, where it's like I could look back on it and I'm like, I probably would have done that differently. I would have used a different font, or I would have, treated it a little bit differently, but I'm embracing it. I worked with Labatt's. We did a number of their internal good, their giving. This is not so much of the consumer brands, but more of the background of them, really talking about the responsibility with the environment. and the report to shareholders, how, you know, what they are, who they are, and what they stand for, where the money goes, and just an overall general report from the back end of that. Working with FCA, which is Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, doing that kind of thing as well. Now, we don't really have, in this case, they gave us fonts and images, and that's pretty much about it. So as far as standards and guidelines, you really have to kind of create that yourself. So talking about infographic design and imagery design, and really just kind of making that information pop out for them. They did come back to us about 3 times, so that was fantastic. This was for a luxury condominium downtown. The really great thing about this is I love prints, I love paper, and I love the process around paper. So it doesn't really do much to it on here, but the front of it had this actually section here was die cut out with a soft test varnish. There was pops of spot UV on the paper, and I was able to spec what paper, what color, what finishes, and everything on that, including, and in the design of this, I've really created the look and feel for this condominium, as well as the branding around it. And there's in actual, this is called hoarding. I didn't know what hoarding was until I actually had to design hoarding, which is kind of fun. Some packaging design for an olive oil brand. It had its own challenges itself. Same thing with some custom homemade jams. This is like, actually, this woman wanted to make them. She wanted to have something that she could create herself as well too. So this was something that she could come off on her own. Magazine for a college. This was Horizons, old college out of Alberta, I believe. And their look and feel, we did about 4 issues before they actually took it internally in-house, because we had created the guidelines for them to do it themselves. And Forked River is my baby. She's I've been with it since the very beginning. It is a local brewery in town here that they were basically at the very precipice of precipice of craft brewery design. They called themselves, or craft brewery, sorry. They called themselves the brewery that Kijiji built, because they actually was like literally taking pieces, really ground up, something that I love to do. I've worked with some big names in some big industries, and I'll go into that in a bit. But I really, to me, it's like, as a graphic designer, I really love trying to make that brand and building that brand, and getting in with the people who are as passionate about it as you are. And you know, you're using your special superpower as a graphic designer to kind of bring that through. And I love that they came up with Get Forked. I had to roll with it. You have to roll with that. I was going to do one that says Fork and A for Canada Day, that I just didn't have time. It's fun. So here's the 3 brewers, and I'm going to come back to these guys in a little bit. Super nice guys. These 2 were microbiologists, and this guy was an engineer, and they decided to quit their full-time jobs and start a brewery. That's gusto right there. So we did, we won awards for the website as well as the branding. So that was fun. I'm going to go back into that. Photography shoots. Logo design. I have so many logos that, and again, some of these make me shudder as well too. So lots of logo design, and going from there. But I got to a certain point right before, you know, I was let go at Arcane, and I was just like, my insights hurt. Something was wrong. Something wasn't right. And I think it was coming out in my personality as well too. And when I get upset, that's like the whole room gets affected. But I wasn't happy. And so leaving Arcane, I got a new position at Cineplex Digital Media. And that sounds really crazy coming from a person who has tons of branding and print design, to delve into something new and something that I completely don't understand. Something that's completely new. And I got in there and I saw what they showed me, and I saw what the capabilities and the presentation and the psychology, going back to the psychology, talking about the psychology of what they do and how they communicate and what they do with data and how they understand. And I know this is getting a little, it's not the pretty shiny things on the outside, but understanding the why and not so much the how. And I saw it, I actually, I will regret saying this, but I actually said fuck print, because I was just like, I understood the digital aspect of things. So getting into QSR, you think that I would have gotten even fatter by looking at hamburgers and donuts all day, although I don't go to QSRs anymore, but really got to do some really fun digital design and showing what kind of what would be in a traditional print environment, and adding motion and adding flavor cues and adding just little ways of like billboard design, and taking that gut instinct of what you would want to order and putting it in front of somebody and having them make that decision because of the design decision that you made to do that. Now, this is kind of something that can go right across the gamut in a bunch of different ways. I still got to do print design and watching people interact with those things. This was a bank installation in Boston that we actually did a mosaic wall of all the faces of the colleagues within the building. They wanted it to make a landscape right across from Boston in the space. But you know, in the previous, like a lot of what Cineplex did was something that was interacting with a digital experience. And I still fought for my core of print, saying that you can still do that with print. You can still have people wanting to go up and interact with it and look at it and discover it, which is really important. This was another one of my babies. So Tim Hortons, actually this, unfortunately, only due to COVID, the store doesn't exist anymore. But Tim Hortons wanted to create so my team at Cineplex, we ran all the design for Tim Hortons on Mainly. And we had this gentleman at Tim's, and they said, we want to do this brand new store. It's a brand new flagship store. There's nothing else like it. We have the idea for it, but we don't know what to do with certain things. So they came to us first, which was actually kind of interesting as designers, even though what we're just doing menu board design, is really trying to use graphic design and use that design to elevate how the consumer interacts with the space. So it's not just the menu board design, but the entire experience from the time they walk in to the time that they get their coffee and they sit down and they're reading the menu, or they're reading any kind of literature as well. So we did comparable analysis with other designs in New York and different coffee shops. I tried to get them to go with a print board, but they went digital. So I had to kind of work around that. I was upset. I had some really cool print designs that was because motion wasn't important in this case. The sustainability and the fact that they had to be adaptable frequently was the reason why they went digital over print. But there's that. And we were able to do, this guy here is an education screen. So it talks about how the coffee is brewed, how, like, what is on, like, what they have to offer. People stopped and looked at this and really paid attention to it. So all of the illustrations, all of the animations was myself and my team. We got to do packaging design for labels that for the different areas, the different kind of coffees that they had, window decals, illustration, as well as print design. I still got to go back into the print design. I was an anomaly at Cineplex. I was the only person that understood what paper was. And really got that inset on this side as well too, which is they would be able to fill this out and be able to have that threefold brochure. The corners were die cut rounded due to use, because like if things bump, and the rounded corner would be able to take up a little bit more of that robust usage rather than a sharp corner as well too, just in case anybody's wondering why there's that. This image wasn't linked, and I know that usually when I show this presentation to anybody except for a group full of graphic designers, you probably wouldn't have paid attention to that, but it really showed everything that we did at CDM. Research right from strategy, understanding, why people do things, ideation sessions, getting the graphic designers and getting the designers understanding the why before it even hits their desk. I find you make different decisions, and you make different decisions in packaging design and graphic design, and you may just kind of go in, but in my time, in my years, I'm really wanting to understand why things happen, and talking to where those problem points and where those pain points are, and trying to sell a decision to the customer, to the client, and solving that problem. They may come to you for a website because they think they need a website, when they really, in fact, need a series of landing pages and some social media posts to drive traffic to different places, for example. So I was at a lot of people say, like, you know, what the fuck is an agency anyways? Because like all of these different kind of agencies is where I've been in my whole life. And that's kind of like CDM. You'd think that it was internal. It wasn't internal. It wasn't an inside, like it wasn't an in-house agency. Definitely not. I did do some Cineplex marketing, but very, very, very little. But it wasn't a traditional outside agency. We actually always fought against the Toronto agencies when we had the talent, but we couldn't because we weren't looked at that way. So kind of carving your own path on what that graphic design service is anyways. This is just, I'm going to go over really quickly. This talk was from, I had actually spoken to the University of Fraser Valley, just talking about what different kinds of agencies are. Specialty services is like what they do. You can be a web design agency, you can be a branding agency, you can be a digital agency, depending on what they are. Diverse teams, like who are they? Like who works for you? Are they all motion designers? Are they all web designers? The income driver, and why do they exist, or how do they exist? What is bringing them in? Are you a support for another part of the agency? Are you doing environmental design? And the good culture. Some agencies think that they have good culture and they don't. Like really finding something that aligns with your values and aligns with my values that's actually something, if I had to go back and tell my old self, is make sure that it aligns with who you are as a designer and how you work and how you live your life. Not everybody has the same things. So just recently, actually in June, due to COVID again, I was let go from Cineplex, which is okay. It could, because I still love print. My goal is, as a designer, is to really find something that aligns with me, and I am looking for that. I'm really great at branding design. I really going back to that forked river, and I really love trying to find and build that brand and build it and find somebody that has that same passion as I do, and that's something that I'm looking for. So looking to design a world for myself is kind of where I am now. I love to build relationships. People are key. People are who you know, whether they're in the industry or not, whether they're creative or not. Building relationships has gotten me so very far in my career. Saying no is something, even where I am now, I have difficulty doing. But I have been known to do it on occasion, especially when it doesn't align with the services that I can offer, or if I don't have the time or the ability to do the best job that I know that that client needs. And that goes back to building relationships, is that if I say no to somebody, I often try to pass off to somebody else I know that has that skill set that that client or person is looking for. Fostering communities. Hey guys, that's what I'm talking to you right now. It's just like the RGD really aligns with the values that I have in my career, and I love to foster the community. I love to mentor, and I love to be part of that. And I'm bringing value. It's like, that is my business model. So I want to talk about the RGD. So really, so like as like a duck above water throughout my entire career, where RGD was, and what I did to kind of build that. So graduating Seneca in 97, I was part of the founding members, and as well as a moderator on the London Creative Network, which is a creative, it doesn't necessarily just need to be London. You guys can join as well too. It's on Facebook. It's just an organization of like-minded individuals that the RGD reaches out to a lot. With under my dream agency, there's some text missing there though. That really getting involved in volunteering and understanding what the RGD was. I believe a highlight of that career, which is probably this guy right here, was my very first design thinkers. Dropping some names, I think I had George Lewis, Chip Kidd, Jessica Heisch, and I think the second one has Stefan Stagmeister. And like, I don't know how I recovered, in all honesty, from the amount of information and excitement that brought to my career and brought to my life. Officially joining the RGD in, I think, late 2013. I have done tons in here. I've gone awards judge. I've been a mentor. I've tried to get as involved in the process as I humanly possibly can. And now a certification committee member. I'm a reviewer. I am a vice chair of the community certification committee, as well as serving on the board of directors, and I'm damn proud of it. So again, go back to Forked River. Forked River is something that has, so they were with me at Honey. They came to Arcane. Arcane actually fired them, which was so terrible because they were the nicest human beings I think I've ever met in my entire life. And they did to take on Cowbell, which is another beer. I did do the branding for Cowbell as well, but Forked River kind of put off the side. So creating those relationships and really staying close to them, I actually did freelance for them all the way through. So freelance in my own time doing, I believe I have 4 products now that's in the LCBO for Forked River. And I'm going to keep going. This Interstellar was probably my favorite because I got to be really super nerdy on it. And doing branding on my own. So this is branding that has nothing to do with any agency. This is really out of my own passion and my own direction, and getting the clients through relationships that I have. So I'm going to talk about following your passions, and I'll tell you a little bit about where I am now. So I'm going to go to this guy here. So this is Dave and Andrew, and they are the last 2 members of Forked River. And Steve, which was the 3rd person there, actually left Forked River to join a company called Motif Labs out of Aylmer. And the second I left Cineplex, Steve came out of the woodwork and said, "We need a creative director. Are you interested?" And I was like, I don't know what this is. So Motif Labs is a cannabis extractor out of Aylmer. So all they're doing is cannabis products. And why this is really exciting to me is they're a startup. They're looking for direction. They're looking for a creative passion. And they're looking for someone to take their product, take their business and grow it. So now out of Aylmer, I've been able to do branding, packaging, social, web design. I sat in a meeting today with 11 marketers that are trying to sell our product, and they're like, "We need this, we need this, we need this." And I'm like, yes, yes. And why we need it and to sell it. I have so many stickers. I might as well bring them to design. Well, I can't bring them to design thinkers. I was going to say I can give them away. I have so many stickers now that I'm doing some of the most fun, most passionate, most crazy work that I've ever done in my whole life. And I can't be happier. I can show you, I think you guys still can see my screen. This was actually a pitch deck. So we've been working with this goes to the OCS, which is the Ontario Cannabis Store, and actually understanding what they're doing. So this is a little bit of, I've been able to do branding. I've been able to do packaging design. This is compliant packaging. It's not sexy, but we're really, as graphic designers, we're able to understand the rules in the sandbox that we're kind of given and be able to be able to break it out of it. So a little bit, so, you know, just using a condensed font versus a, you know, just a regular Roman font, you're able to get more copy into the same space that you need to break it out. It has been a game changer as well too. I have never had so much fun with saturation and noise in my entire life, I'll tell you that. So yeah, the packaging, tent card design, style design, as in like giving this kind of a look and a feel, very 1980s retro. This is a battery for those users. I'm not really a user, but I still think it's super fun. Coming up with the idea of like these, so with the way cannabis works is there's the compliant package that you buy that is this, like, has all the labels and the warnings on it, but they also do these things called vanity packaging, which is kind of like the fake packaging on what you think the design kind of looks like. So we're going with this old school cassette tape. The website itself is a very smoky, very, you know, it's got a lot of, I've got a lot of DeLoreans on it. There's a lot of DeLoreans. This guy here is a box that I actually created into a boom box. It's going to be going to influencers, and in the influencer kit is going to be t-shirts, batteries, stickers, a fanny pack. Oh my God, I want that fanny pack so bad. And super, super, super fun things. And yeah, and that's fluorescence. I didn't do that one, but I'm running it and joining it. So anyways, that is me. And I feel like I've probably taken your entire meeting, and I really super apologize. Does anybody have any questions?
Well, thank you so much, Amanda. That was such a great presentation, and definitely got me thinking, and it was very inspiring. Lots of insights. Yeah, and it was great. If anybody, has any questions, please feel free.
I promise I'm okay. Good. We have lots of hands. Can I start? Cindy. Oh, I'm looking at comments here. You gotta help me out here. It's been a little while here.
Was it?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it was like clapping. It wasn't really.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. Thank you for that awesome presentation. I loved seeing that box. I think it was box trot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved seeing the box trot. Very nostalgic. I was just wondering, like, now that you're a designer working kind of in the cannabis space, which is really new, what kind of challenges like have you encountered thus far in that space?
So the thing that gets me so excited about working in this space is because it isn't something that has been done before. It's so new. It's only been legal to do anything with for 3 years. And you know that out of the gate, there wasn't much. There's a lot of rules. There's a lot of regulations. There's a lot of things that you can't do. The great thing about this brand, though, is they're kind of unapologetic and they swear as much as I do, which is excellent. I think that I think the biggest challenge for me has been the compliant packaging, which is what you saw with the like on the label. But the same thing with, I bring back my thought to QSR, which is quick service restaurants. You go back to Tim Hortons and all of that kind of stuff. Is the same thing with calories. So when you walk into a restaurant that has more than, I think, 5 chains, they have to include calories with everything. And the rules around calories is they have to be the same price point, same font weight, same font color, font size as the price point. And the same kind of rules are being applied to a lot of cannabis packaging. But the thing about cannabis that makes me really super excited is there's tons of opportunity that nobody's taken the chance on yet. Nobody knows about these vanity packaging. Nobody's exploring what can be done in store because you can't talk about it afterward outside of stores. Like, have anybody seen the show Disjointed with Kathy Bates? She says, if you come inside, because if we sell this stuff outside, we'll get thrown in jail. It's kind of the same kind of idea. But I think that was the thing that made me so excited, was that that I get to make the rules up as I kind of go along. but I can't break certain ones too. I don't know if I answered your question, but I'm getting really excited about it. I'm not even a super user. I do like the CBD oil. I think they're kind of nice. I'm not selling it to anybody, but it's just it's like understanding this cool product that you don't know about, and nobody's designed it. Like Hillary, I'm gonna have to do a talk on cannabis design at some point.
Yeah, it's super interesting. We had a new dispensary. I'm not a user either. I went with a friend, but there was a dispensary that opened up and I went inside and the design was like so beautiful. I like stole a bunch of like leaflets. They were really nice about it, but they were like, why is this weird lady just like getting our clutter?
Designers don't like, non-designers don't get it. Like I find it, and it's funny, if anybody hasn't been into a dispensary, they're very, very different from each other. So if you get one that and this is something that I've had to do as a designer as well too. So going back to my whys is I'm actually going into stores and talking to bud tenders. Bud tenders are kind of like baristas, let's just put it that way. Is that I'm going in and talking to them and like, where's the opportunities? Like what would make you excited? And some of them just kind of like, who is this person that's talking to me and stealing my stuff and taking pictures? And then some get really excited and some just kind of go into that.
Yeah, but thank you. You did answer my question.
Oh, good. Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah, I can see Michaela and Pantea have questions. So any of you want to go first?
I can jump in. Hi, Amanda. Thank you so much for your presentation and your time. I think it's so great to hear from you. My question is just about your freelance work. So you mentioned you've worked for a lot of agencies. I guess I wonder how you balanced working full-time for an agency and then taking on freelance work on the side. What did that look like? Was it different in different seasons? I'll let you take it from there.
No, that's a great question. I think what I did is it's all about balance. I made sure that I set ground rules for myself as making sure that so my kids are young, but so they'd be at school. So I'd work full time at my job from say 9 to 5 or however it was long. Work always came first. Like work always came before freelance. Family always comes before everything else. And I allotted, so between like say the hours of 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. it was kids time. Like that was my sole focus. And then anything after 8 to whenever or on weekends is when I could balance my freelance. I think the main key takeaway was that I didn't do as much freelance as I did work. So I really took on, I was blessed to say and thankful enough to not have to go out and look for freelance. I only took on what I knew that I could balance. And then like really making those solid relationships with certain individuals. Well, it's like I've done not even included into this, I've done about 35 tabletop photography books. So I'm partnered with a photographer. And he gives me lots of leeway. He says, I've got a new book coming in 2 months. This is what we're going to do. This is what it looks like. And then I can schedule it and I can plan. That's probably the best way. And then when, the why that's so important is that when those things like COVID or culture shifts or anything happen to really good designers, because I never took this personal in any stretch of the imagination, was life happens. I had that to fall back on, and I had that core, that infrastructure underneath me to kind of go back and say, okay, I've got these relationships. I can kind of build them up and build them down as I need to. I see one more hand, at least one more hand.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for your presentation, Amanda. You're so energetic and it's so nice to listen to you. And there were a couple of things in your presentation that I really liked, but the most, I think the one thing that really stood out to me was the fact that you mentioned it's really important to kind of be able to work with people who are cool and kind of bring you, I don't know, they make you feel good about yourself. Because I feel like recently I've been working with a couple of people that are really bringing my mood down, and like I think it's very important to kind of have like this good, healthy, creative environment. But I'm not sure, like, especially now that I'm starting to work with different people. I don't know how I should understand if, like, I don't know if it's an agency, if people are going to be cool, or if it's now, in my case, it's like just like single clients, I would say. How do I know if they are like people that are going to bring me down, or are they going to, I don't know, cheer me up in creative space?
I think the first thing that is most important that you have done already is acknowledge that that's what they're doing. Because in all honesty, I've been in denial. I've been in such a headspace in my past where I was so focused on the work and the place on where I was working and not actually understanding and seeing what it was doing to me. So the fact that you're there, you're a whole head of the game. So that is something that you can manage from moving forward. So I think actually there's a couple of round tables. There's a couple of round tables I think that are happening during Design Thinkers, if you're going, that talk about like, when is it time to move on? When is it time to look for that new place or that new adventure? And there's no shame in that. Sometimes you love the work, but you don't love who you're working for or how it makes you feel. And I think I could probably sit here and talk for another 4 hours about a designer and mental health, like really actually understanding kind of what it does to us as human beings. I think that's really important as well too. So yeah, I think that you're already ahead of the game by doing that, and don't be afraid of like, you know, stretching out and like seeing what else is there. Like this is a completely new world we live in as far as having to, you know, being able to remote and being able to be in office and, you know, kind of seeing what is available out there as well too. But nothing sucks more, and speaking for me, nothing is more terrible than going to a job that kind of destroys your soul every day. So, and I know that's kind of, I don't know if I'm giving bad advice, but that's my advice that I wish somebody would have told me a long time ago. Just, you know, don't worry about the safety net, just kind of like move on because you need to take care of you.
Yeah, that's so true. Being in a better culture is, I guess, much more important than like the name of the agency or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
like I can come from, like, as I said, like the dream agency, like Arcane was amazing. Like it's in 3 cities. It's got beer on tap. It's like, it's what was like in the poster. If you had to put a poster up for the agency that you want to work with for, no, it's like, I'm working, someone who's working agency my entire life. I'm working in-house. Like I never thought in my entire life would I thought that I was going to be working in-house, but the job and what I'm doing and the amount of impact that I'm making on these brands, and even just understanding this brand new way of designing for cannabis is just incredibly exciting. Like these people are amazing, and I love getting out of bed this morning. Like I've never worked so hard in my entire life.
That's so good. Thank you so much.
I see one more.
Do we have one more?
Oh, maybe not.
Oh, that's me
It's
again,
gonna
I
be,
think.
yeah, it's gonna be the last one. We have time for one more question.
I'm sorry.
No, don't say sorry. We're really happy that you stayed this late. So with us, we're really happy. Does anybody have any questions? If not, I have. Okay, Roxanne, do you want to go?
Hi, loved your presentation, love your energy. You are so like, I love it so much. I was just gonna say, in terms of when it comes to going from one place to another agency wise, how did you find your transition from like one place to another? Like, what was that process like for you?
So most of the processes were it was forced upon me. So it's not something that I think in one case I left, like I actually quit to move on for opportunity. I think that they're all different. They're all very different. Some, like in this case where I am most recently, it was a previous relationship, and it was a previous, it was a connection that I had. I've used a recruiter And that's something that we don't talk about very often as well too. Massive opportunities with recruiters. I like, if I name drop, Pina from Robert Half, if anybody needs a connection, let me know. Fantastic. They do freelance opportunities, so you can get freelance jobs through a recruiter. Their goal is to get, you don't have to pay them anything. They literally set up, they set up the work for you. You can think of it almost like a graphic design agent. And they can find, say they have a client that comes to them saying, actually Pina reached out to me the other day saying they're looking for front-end developers, motion designers, and I can't remember, there was three things that she was looking for. And do you have any like recommendations? Do you have any somebody you can pull through? And this is companies that are looking for graphic designers that don't have the time to sift through graphic design resumes and don't know how to hire. So, you know, they make that connection to it. So that is actually a really good way of doing it. And then cold calling. I've done that more than once, whereas I literally pick up the phone of places where I think I'm going to work or want to work. And instead of actually calling and say, I'm a graphic designer, please hire me, I really just say, you know, I'm a graphic designer. I have a resume that I'd love to send in. Who should I address it to? And, or can I have the email address or something along those lines? So you're not putting them on the spot to actually have to talk to anybody. It's more of, making that, it's kind of the foot in the door in a way without, you know, just shoving your face in their face. And that way you can show them, kind of like show your work at the same time. So I did like a sample portfolio of like 3 core things that I've done that I'd like to do, and, you know, just offering it, saying, love to come in for a chat. And that works a bunch of times as well too. Now you can take that into the next level. That was old school, like kind of before websites and Behance and all of that kind of stuff. But there's lots of ways of kind of getting in there. But yeah, I would check out recruiters and seeing what's it. And again, if anybody wants a connection, I can make a connection because she's awesome. So. Okay, anyways, I have taken all of your night. Guys, if you ever want to reach out to me, I am very unapproachable and really angry and hard to get along with. So my email address, my website address is amandabolty.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, but I don't post anything, so you don't need to do anything there. But if you really want to check me out there, I just look at cat videos and laugh with my children. Yeah, I'm easy to find.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Amanda. That's great. I'll try to put your things in the chat as well for everyone who can find you easily. But thank you so much. Great.
Awesome, guys.
Yeah, we'll put it